Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die. Gotham! This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car. 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way?
He has the power to wipe out the entire human race.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. A dark knight.
I'm Batman.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill Jet Ramey and Rick Shue.
Thank you, Bill, and welcome to episode 71 of Batman on Film podcast. My name is Justin. I'm here with
Ryan Haas. BOF,
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Oh, well, I'm not doing that good. I have a cold, but I'm going to be doing a lot better because we're doing this sweet podcast.
Heck yeah, you sound almost like Batman, so it's cool.
Yeah.
And we have brought in a very special guest from Robin, Everybody Loves the Drake podcast, Mr. Rob Myers. How are you doing?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on. This is great.
We thought we needed an expert here. So the whole point of today's show, we've been talking behind the scenes a little bit about, hey, maybe we'll do something a little different than the normal Batman news, DC Universe news, what's going on in the movies, and get a little segment off the beaten path, but still in Batman on Film universe and the Batman on Film action figures and toy lines over the years, because there's a lot of people, we all, whether we're huge action figure collectors or we just want a little piece of memorabilia on our desk, we thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about that and revisit it. And so, since Rick has never bought any action figures in his entire life, and Bill was like, wow. Bill actually buys them a lot because he has them in his office, but he let me and Ryan take the reins. So we're going to have some fun with this today. A lot of you guys sent us some photos earlier in the day, and we're going to talk about those later. Some of you guys, I don't know what type of jobs you have, but we need to talk because I don't know where you get the disposable income to buy some of those like sweet hot toys. And oh my gosh,
yeah,
right.
Well, some of them. We can talk about that later, but yeah.
All right, so to jump into it, I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about what's one of our favorite pieces in our Batman action figure collections. And so, Rob, since you are a guest, would love to hand it over to you.
Oh, one of my favorite pieces. Man, that's hard. That's like picking your favorite child or your favorite hamburger joint. Right now, because it's the first Hot Toys I've ever bought, and I really had to beg and plead to get this thing. I'll be a good boy. Is the Batman versus Superman standard Ben Affleck Hot Toys. This thing is just a beautiful thing.
That's your first Hot Toys, huh?
First Hot Toys I've ever had. I thought about getting the Christian Bale, like not the Dark Knight Rises, but the Dark Knight one. I forget what the proper name of that one is, like the X3. Somebody's going to correct me on it.
DX, whatever.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, oh, I'll wait. And then seeing this, I was like, this has got to be the one. It just looks so cool. The bodysuit is great. So that's the thing I'm currently looking at right now, and I still can't believe I have one. So they say they're addictive, and my wife is shaking her head at me like, no, they can't be.
they are. So good.
Nice. Yeah, that's so nice. Those Hot Toys. I used to get into the 12 scale a long time ago, but I've never made it quite into Hot Toys. I like them from afar. I have a friend at work who has a few of them, and they're just really nice. And I almost feel like I'm an unboxer. I'm like, I don't know, I might need to keep it in the box.
See, I'm glad you said that. Maybe that'll be something we could talk about later. But I've always been the type that it's meant to come out. I have very few that are in their box. I'm like, if I'm going to leave it in a box, I might as well just leave it at the store and let somebody else buy it.
Yeah.
I want it out of the box.
Yeah, and that's just a great way to make your toys angry and have them revolt against you in the middle of the night. They want to be released.
Well, you do. I mean,
they have accessories and play sets.
If Toy Story 2 has anything to say about it, the ones who stay keep in the package are the ones that become evil.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's one of your favorites from the past?
Well, while we're on the topic of Hot Toys, I can get one of these pictures out of the way for us. Maddie Feck at Maddie Amazing did send us a picture earlier today using the Batman Collection BOF hashtag, and he sent us a picture of the Hot Toys he has, and he's got a lot of good ones. I think he's got the big one that Rob has, and some of the ones from Dark Knight Trilogy. Catwoman, Joker, Bane. I've got some of the Hot Toys there, and I got into them a lot in the Dark Knight era when they first started getting kind of big. I've got the bank robber Joker. I've got the Dark Knight Batman. I've got the Bat Pod also.
Oh, nice.
And I've got.
Did they not make a Scarecrow?
They did. I think they did.
I didn't know if it went as far as prototype stage.
I don't remember.
Maybe it did come out, but if it is, I haven't seen one in a while or ever.
Yeah, they just look really nice.
And I also have Harvey Dent / Two-Face, and it's in one figure, and you can switch out the suit.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Pretty good. But if I had to pick a favorite Holy Grail figure I really like and I wouldn't want to get rid of, this is kind of spoiling something from later on in our discussion, but that would have to be the Knockout Joker from the Dark Knight collection.
Oh,
and
wow. Yeah.
Yes, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh,
yeah. Talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Listeners,
he has. Did he have the blue coat or the green coat?
He had the purplish coat with the orange pants. Basically,
that's right.
He is the version. There's two different Jokers in the Dark Knight collection from Batman '89. One came out early and looks kind of like.
Dude, I don't know. We're gonna have to jump into that. Actually, let's save it. Let's save it because there's a timeline issue with that.
So I'm just gonna say, Knockout Joker from that series for the specific reason that he is pretty darn rare and that he looks a lot more like the Jack Nicholson Joker from the era than other figures. But we can get into that in the discussion.
He's your favorite, so he's your
oh, absolutely, yeah,
he's your prized possession.
Yep.
Yeah. So mine is super connected to yours because mine is Iron Winch Batman from the Dark Knight collection.
Ooh.
I absolutely love that Batman, and it's just because it's basically the
gold
89 bat suit.
Yeah.
But he's in the gray and blue. And I love that figure because I've always been a sucker for the gray and blue, and even though I love the black suit, when I saw it in action figure form, got me excited because for some reason I thought, oh, is he going to be in this suit in Batman Returns? Or not Batman, in the next Batman movie. There was no Batman Returns at that time. That I was really excited about that because they made a whole bunch of different Batmans in that line. I think they made a gold. There was gold Batman and waffle variant Batman and stuff like that. But he's my favorite. He's still sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, I have a loose one too. It's really good.
You have one of those as well, huh?
Yeah, I have one of the loose ones, and just for that reason because he is the quintessential '89 Batman figure.
In the gray and the blue. So yeah, it's such a cool looking figure. And those, so now I think it's a good time to kind of segue into the different Batman lines coming out of '89. So first, I guess let's talk about Toy Biz.
Yeah,
that's a whole weird situation because it's like they kind of had the old Kenner molds, but they were super disfigured. It was like someone left them in a car and they melted, and that's the only way they captured the molds, right?
Well, I think Rob might know some info about this.
Yeah, I was handing off to Rob because you actually posted the box with one of the prototype looking faces, right?
Yeah, I hoard everything. My wife says I'm going to be on Hoarders someday. I still have my '89 official movie souvenir magazine.
Ooh,
$2.95 what I paid for it back in the day from Topps. And on the inside page, I put it up on my Twitter account, Rob's Rogues, if anybody wants to check it out. It says, Batman, you can now bring the live action. You can bring the action home. And I'm not going to read the whole huge bio. It's by Toy Biz. And the image that they show here is the Superpowers Batman, the blue and gray Batman that they painted black and put a black cape on. And when I bought this magazine, I thought, I can't wait. Like, I've got this figure. I instantly knew what the superpowers Batman was. You can see, where the blue would be, where it kind of V's down towards the Bat logo. And I was like, oh, they're just repainting the Kenner figure. And then I saw the Toy Biz logo, and I was like, well, that's kind of odd. And kind of what happens was, as the superpowers line was ending, and when it was in like its fourth stage, when they finally did like Green Arrow and the Dark Side and Calabac figures, once those were kind of passed away, the line was kind of not failing, but just wasn't gaining any interest. And Kenner thought there was not going to be any interest in this Batman movie coming out, and how can we possibly make toys for it? So they sold the licensing to Toy Biz, and I guess Toy Biz got it for like a song. I mean, not even a song. Like, they got it for like a stick. They just kind of a crazy price. And what ended up happening was, fast forwarding, Toy Biz could not make toys fast enough.
Right.
Yeah. Kenner had to go knocking on their door and said, hey, we'll help you out, but we want our licensing back. So there's this weird turn. If you got depending on you got your 89 Batman, if you bought like Wave 2 version, then the face got a little more square jawed.
There's three different versions.
3 different versions of it. And that is when, once the second version came out, that was actually Kenner making the figures for Toy Biz and stamping the Toy Biz logo on there. So technically, if you have the second or third version, you do have a Kenner figure, but the contract was still supposed to run till the end of that production cycle. And then once that was over, then Kenner took the license
and then
back.
Kenner took it back. That's really interesting. I didn't know that part of the story. Now, I remember there was about 3 different versions of the face, because I remember there was one called the Keaton face.
Yep.
And then there was, I think,
square face variant.
The square face
and the round face.
Round face.
I think the round face was the
one.
most. I think it's the most prevalent one too, though.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I think that's the one I had.
Same here.
I mean, at the time, I couldn't get him. I remember when that series came out, I had to get a rain check at Target. I mean, I remember going to Target with my mom, and it was like, you can't get Batman. So I finally was able to acquire a Batmobile, and that thing was cool. It shot those, and I still have it. I have it in the garage, in the box. It's got the 2 yellow missiles that shoot out of it when you crank the gear shift in the cockpit. And those things would fly out. I remember like hitting my sister with those things all the time. They flew like a good 15 feet. But it made that annoying noise. You'd push it and it'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
But it came with the cocoon. That was cool. It came with
there's 2 versions. There's one with the cocoon and one without the cocoon.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I believe, and now Rob, you might know this more than me, but I believe the one with the cocoon was made first and is more rare because the cocoon was this plastic shell that people keep getting. They either recalled it or decided not to continue forward with it, and they ended up making a second version without it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I think it was also very brittle.
Yes,
that the pieces would become jagged, and then
cut kids.
An idiot like my cousin would cut his hands. Like, I don't care what toy you gave him. He was end up bleeding after he played with them. What are you doing?
When we're done, I'm gonna actually take a photo and throw it up on Twitter. Because I'm looking right at it, and
I own this too. I own this, and my cocoon is still intact. Also,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a weird Batmobile because it was like a convertible version. Like, it was cool because it was a 2-seater, so you could throw that weird Robin they gave you like a couple of months later. Because they had the license to do the whole DC line. They were all just...
Well, but it wasn't part of this.
Like Green Lantern was actually like a Riddler figure, or it was like the mold. Anyways, that the Batmobile, they actually made a Joker van, and I think they made a motorcycle and a Batcopter.
Yes.
Yeah, I had this entire line. I have all of this stuff.
Really?
Yeah. And this is the Batwing in this set. That's the one I remember the most. I did not get... I didn't get a lot of the big... vehicles from the Dark Knight collection that's after this. I have all the stuff from the Toy Biz line, and I remember the Batwing being kind of cool. It was kind of weird, not movie accurate, but it had this like handle on the bottom that you could, but it was kind of cool as a kid because you could hold this handle and it gave you a kind of an anchor to kind of fly it around and play with stuff. Yeah. And the box art on a lot of these things I always thought was super awesome because it's got the Batwing. and it's like grabbing the Joker like in the top in the bat ears, and this handle had this little trigger, and you would pull the trigger, and the bat ears would kind of like move inward like pinchers, just like in the movie actually, and you could grab the Joker with it, and it was actually kind of awesome.
See, why didn't Michael Keaton do that? That would have saved him a
Would've
whole
been
lot
too
of problems
easy.
in that movie.
Yeah, he could have just picked him up and just dropped him, and they would have had to not even do that climax.
Yeah. Now, the line only really included Batman, Joker, and
Bob the Goon.
Bob the Goon.
Three figures.
I still have all of my Joker broke. I broke his right leg shortly after I got it. But
mine did too.
Of this time, usually I lost accessories like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I would instantly lose a lightsaber or a gun or something like that. But I still have the knife, the gun, and the hat for Bob the Goon after all this time.
Dude, I love that they had hats. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
right?
kind of
like,
it is kind of a cool. Yeah, when you do compare that to the Dark Knight collection, like it is kind of neat because it's kind of an oversight that they don't include that in the other action figures. It's kind of a cool accessory based on the noir type period of the movie. And I would when this set came out, I was like 3 years old or whatever, 3, 4, and I was in this weird period where there would be figures from both this Toy Biz set and the Dark Knight collection on the shelves at the same time. So I mixed and matched like both sets a whole bunch. And I remember losing like the hat or the cane from the Joker and just begging my mom or dad to go out and give me another one just so I could get the accessories back.
Batman's belt was kind of cool. He kind of had that. It was weird because on the
and
back
would
of the
break.
box, huh?
And that belt thing would break. I remember
mine's still intact. Mine
so
actually.
is mine.
Mine is too. But that one Batman, the Batman figure. So this is the one where his belt like comes out, and you can like string him up on stuff, and it's like a grappling hook, but his entire belt is the grappling hook.
Yeah.
But this is the one toy that I remember like everybody on the playground having as a kid, and eventually everybody who's playing with it, the belt would just break off. And so and then years later as a kid, if I just go to flea markets and look in bins of like old action figures, every time I find that figure, it has no utility belt. Just because
no utility belt and no the bat symbol on the chest. That's usually one of the first things that are rubbed off. And mine still looks fairly good. And I was a really good geek, bad geek, that I washed the capes, took a little soap, put them in water, got them all clean.
You literally were washing your tights.
Yeah, you were washing your tights.
Hey.
So my capes still look like they're pressed and everything like that. I'm such a nerd.
Yeah, he came with a batarang and like this weird, like it was kind of supposed to be his grapple gun, but
looks like
it would have been cool if it kind of worked with his belt,
Yeah, it looks kind of like the grapple gun.
Yeah, but so awesome. So transitioning from out of the Toy Biz. If you guys have anything, they had a cool Batcave. I thought that was. Actually
I was going to talk about that actually.
Yeah,
I remember.
Go for it.
I remember as a kid just walking into Toy Biz, not Toy Biz, but KB Toys in the mall. KBs. Yeah, see, I'm taking some people back here. Walking into KB Toys and just looking up, as my 4-year-old self or whatever, looking up as far as my head could go. And at the top of the ceiling, they had like 30 of these like Toy Biz Batcaves on a wall. And I just remember being like super like in awe of it. Like, oh my God, there's so many of them in the box. It's amazing. But yeah, I love, that Batcave, when you look at it now, is kind of crappy, but I have so many fond memories of it because, again, the box art of this thing is amazing. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And
it's like Batman's on a rope or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
he's climbing up his own Batcave with the Joker in it.
Yeah. Well, it's got like it's like these catwalks. It's actually fairly accurate to kind of the layout of the small-ish Batcave in the film, but it's got all these little plastic catwalks. It's got a boulder that comes off. I always remember like knocking that boulder off and hitting the Joker with it. And the back of the cave has this like cardboard panel that kind of is supposed to like fit on it or something. And that thing, like, I remember that thing just breaking after like the first week, and I always just trying to like tape it together. So, but it's not that great, but it's kind of awesome, and I do have fun memories.
It's a cool like diorama piece. There's a guy online. His website's inanimateobjects.com, and he did a really cool repaint of it. Ooh. And it looks really cool. Like if you have the ability to check it out, I would just search him inanimateobjects.com, and he does a really cool repaint of it. And he used some of the DC Multiverse, the 6-inch or the 5-inch scale figures, and he threw his like the Burton designs in there. So it's a cool set for if you have some shelf space for it. But
one last point I want to make about the Toys Biz line is that as a kid I loved the back of the boxes. The first thing I would always, and even as a kid I noticed, hey, the Batman on the back of this box is different than the one that's in this packaging. And I would always notice that. And of course, years later, it's like, oh, it's just their early production is different, than what actually came out. And I would always be like, well, the one on the back of the box looks way better and stuff.
I just wanted to make that cool, like, gravel,
yeah, me too.
There's
I was like, I want to
water
make
tower.
That. Yeah, it was.
And they usually have a building. I'm looking at the Robin one, the DC Superheroes line that was, just after this. And you've got this, red backdrop with the, rooftop gravel, and you have these buildings in the back, which is probably just like a piece of construction paper. But I was always like, I want that building. I want whatever that thing is. I want that rock in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, go outside. There's plenty of rocks.
Yeah, who makes that?
Yeah. But I remember but the one thing that I liked is every figure came with this like cutout like newspaper article for each character. Yeah. And I would save all those and, read them stuff. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. No, those were cool. I remember having a little Tupperware thing filled with all my file cards.
Yeah.
So after that, you as you mentioned, Rob, it went to Kenner and they did the Dark Knight collection, which wasn't that in like 1990? Which
yes,
I feel is really goes to say like how much Batmania was going on. Even
exactly,
8 months later or so, they're like, okay, we're picking this up, and it made me feel like with the wording of the Dark Knight collection kind of made it feel like it was going to keep going and going, which it just evolved into Batman Returns, which was that's when you can tell like they're not putting any more money into this, but I think it would be kind of good to combine both those lines together just for sake of time and because there's a lot of duplicates, a lot of repaints, and they're like, here's Gold Batman again. But give us some insight on the Kenner stuff if you want to tag on to what you were saying earlier.
This was like their chance to kind of really be like, okay, this is what we would have done had we stayed at the table and just waited. Well, I think the figures were. Obviously, they were better. You could tell that there was a weight to the figure. Even that Batman with the belt that would break off. If you dropped him to the floor, I was always worried like he's going to crack because he felt like he was completely hollow. These were like the capes were made better. The accessories I think snapped on a little bit easier. I wasn't worried about breaking them. So I think the
likenesses.
The likenesses.
Oh yeah, that
lot
Keaton
better.
face is really good for like 1990.
Oh yeah,
I'm like that's Keaton.
If you go to 1989batman.com, James, the guy that runs the website, he's actually got an article on there about that specific Keaton face from this line, and I believe he's acquired it. He owns it. He owns the original mold or the original head that was made. That molds were made from. And he's got a whole story about how it was made and everything, like by hand and stuff. So you can check that out because there's some good information on that. And his whole website, by the way, actually has tons of like videos about like each figure in both of these lines. It's like very meticulous and they're really well done. So yeah, check those stuff out too.
Yeah. The only disappointment I had was his legs didn't bend. It was like,
yeah.
Because even the Superpowers figures had the leg joints.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know, what cost. How what the cost difference is on that, but it was like Kenner never was like, we're never going to put joints on, and they're saving money because they're just reusing the molds. The same thing they did for the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves figures were all Green Arrows and Superpower molds.
Right.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Did you know that, dude? Side note, and Rick Shue will love this. Ewok Village doubled for like Sherwood Forest.
Right.
That's amazing.
So yeah, some super nerdy stuff right there, guys. But yeah. But yeah, I think the vehicle, everything in this set was better. Even I had the Bat Cycle, and that was a cool like, little like a cheap like vehicle you could have. But it was a cool design. Had like a little machine gun on the side.
And when you like move the vehicle, it would like move in and out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I had the Night Glider, which I liked to put on Batman. He had like the big wings. And put a flashlight up on it, trying to make a bat signal out of Batman. And these big, huge bat wings, I thought was really kind of cool. And of
Oh
course
yeah,
it
one
was
of the premium figures in the bigger boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, they would come. Some of them would come in a box, I think, right?
Right. Yep. That one.
Yeah,
that
the
one did.
3 premium figures. Yeah, and this was, I think, the first set where we actually got a Bruce Wayne, and the idea of a quick change figure. You know, the Bruce Wayne in this set, you have like in the Dark Knight collection has like the Batman suit that you can put on the Bruce Wayne and turn him into Batman.
I still got that one.
I still have that one too.
He has this giant Zach Morris phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
The oven mitts.
Yeah.
Yep.
As a kid, you know what? As a kid, I always pretended that accessory that comes with that. I always pretended that was the thing in the 1960s Batman movie that he uses to like get rid of the missile that's coming towards him on the buoy. I was like, the porpoise is going to save us, Robin. You know, it's like amazing.
But even that face, I mean, it was pretty Keaton looking. You know.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you can look at that and go, "That's Michael Keaton."
Yeah, because if you go into the other lines, like the other quick change, like not a real good Val Kilmer Bruce Wayne head. Yeah. I think the Batman heads kind of had a Kilmer look, but the quick chains did not.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. But what about the Joker? We should get into that.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have the Joker from this collection. I've seen pictures of it, but because I thought, well, I already have a Joker. I don't need another one. Mm-hmm. So my experience with this particular one was only seeing it on the store shelf and go, nah, I'm looking for a Robin. So I kind of passed on it.
Man. Well, this is like the best Joker, like two of the best Jokers. I just love these so much. Yeah. And maybe it's part of it is because in a line full of Batman, when you do see that one villain, out of the 4 or 5 different Batman variants, it feels kind of special. Mm-hmm. And this Dark Knight collection packaging, I love this packaging. On the left side, you have like Michael Keaton Batman's face, but it was like his real face. But for the Joker figure, it's like a painted version of
Jack Nicholson's all that's going to cost you some more.
And I don't know if it was a cost thing or if they were like, well, kids might be too scared of like a real picture of the real Jack Nicholson or what. I don't know what the deal was, but it still was a difference that made me feel like, oh, this is cool as a kid.
But this one was a straight up superpowers mold with a different head.
It was,
but the Toy Biz one was weird because it was like a very tall version of the Joker. Yes. This one was like superpowers, same mold, but it.
Yeah. And as a kid, I was even like, well, why does he have these weird pink clothes? That's not really like the ones from
the bright pink pants.
But
they're like Cesar Romero colored pants.
Exactly. But they did take the time to even incorporate the flesh-colored makeup stuff from the film, which I thought was super fascinating as a kid.
Yeah.
I'd always like dunk it. What was it? You had to put him dunk it in water or something?
Put him in ice water.
Yeah, it was awesome. And you could recreate that scene. But then we were talking about the Knockout Joker, which was made. There was a second wave of figures in that first Dark Knight collection line, and there were only 3 figures, and they came out later and with smaller numbers, and that's why the Knockout Joker is so much harder to find. And the mold is different. It looks like they changed enough pieces around to make it, more movie accurate. Mm-hmm. And he's got like the checkered pants, and he's got the more purple jacket, and he's even got the big orchid flower as well. So he's a lot more movie accurate.
Gotcha.
With the green belt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting another one because Toys R Us did like a 2-pack line like years later, I think, post Batman Forever. And I think he was like, he had orange pants or something like that. Or
yes. Yeah, he's got like orange pants and a
blue jacket or something.
It's orange jacket, yeah. He's not as cool.
Yeah, not at all. It was just kind of, that's a weird take. Okay. But, so jumping into to the vehicles, man, they had some cool vehicles, and like again, the quality went up. But this time the Batmobile wasn't a 2-seater; it was a 1-seater, right? But it had the canopy top,
right?
Yeah. No, I did have this, and it also had. Is it this the one that had the fire that comes out of the turbine in the back? Yeah. And when you move the car, it like spins around. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
Yeah, it was good. Okay, so let's jump into Batman Returns. Like, the figures are pretty much all the same. A lot of Arctic Batmans and figures with white.
This is when the variant aspect of it really kind of takes over, because you get like the Arctic Batman with the crazy like helmet thing, were, I as a kid that Christmas I really wanted Deep Dive Batman just because he looked so awesome and the box art was so cool. Like he's like a diver outfit, and the reason I think I wanted it as a kid is because it looked like it came with an entire vehicle that came with the figure, like a big underwater attachment that he can dive with. I just thought that was awesome.
And what was always funny about the figures came out shortly before the movie did.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So then I would start going, Skywinch Batman. Oh, I can't wait till I see him in that suit. Oh, he's gonna wear the blue and gray suit. I'm like, oh, he's not wearing the blue and gray suit.
Nope.
Why'd I buy this Batman?
Yeah,
Laser Batman. Surely he's gonna wear this pillow top suit.
The only way to fight penguins is with a laser waffle suit, right?
Yeah. One notable thing when you go from Batman to Batman Returns is they did end up including a lot more, non-Batman figures, and villains and allies too. We've got Penguin Commandos, Catwoman, and Robin, which we'll get to in a second. But the Penguin Commandos was awesome for me as a kid because you've got 2 little penguins and they came with rocket packs, and those would always go on super clearance at Walmart. And my grandparents and aunts and uncles, they would always get me a ton of them every time they went to the store, and I amassed a penguin army because it was kind of cheap at one point. But the penguin himself is kind of interesting to me because even as a kid, I'm like, this is just a repaint. This isn't a unique figure, but I think as we found out later, it was intentional because they said it was because they thought kids would be too scared of an actual figure of Danny DeVito's likeness from the movie.
Yeah, that's lame. It would have been really great for them to actually step it up and change the mold a little bit, even to mimic the return suit. The only thing that was different, I remember, was Thunderwhip Batman. He had the weird arm that would spin, but he actually had the molded gauntlets that looked like the Keaton gloves.
Yeah.
But that was the only figure, I think, to have movie gauntlets. Yeah. To my remembrance, everybody else just had kind of smooth, superpowers gloves.
Yeah.
And then
but
Catwoman, she was just a alteration of a superpowers mold that never made to production, I believe.
Oh.
I remember reading, there's a website called Toy Otter, and they actually had a whole, just behind the scenes on some of the figures, and the Catwoman mold they had looked just like the weird gawky Batman Returns version, except it was like they just put some stitches on it because it looked like a year one Catwoman figure.
Interesting.
It's
not a bad sculpt though because it actually looks.
No, it wasn't.
Looks pretty good.
It was just a weird pose because she had that
pose
weird.
Bad. But the slightest little wind would knock this thing over.
A lot of, and you'll see, we'll see this moving forward too, like in with the other female figures going down the line. All the female figures tend to have these strange poses, and I kind of wonder if there was something in, the way toys got made then, like the female figures have to be like this, just I don't know. I think there's a story behind it, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was really awkward. So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, the whole Batman Returns line was kind of like they didn't really spend a lot of money. They had a weird penguin jet. It was kind of like an updated version of the '60s.
It's an umbrella jet, and
that's right.
Little umbrellas underneath the wings of the jet, and you could drop them like bombs.
Yes.
Yeah. And oh man, there is also vehicle-wise, there's the Bruce Wayne custom coupe.
There you go.
I love that thing.
That's the best part of that whole line, I think.
Yeah, because it's like a regular street car, and then you pull this lever in the back, and and you have a Bruce Wayne and a Batman figure in the same car, and you pull the lever, and it changes quote him from Bruce Wayne into Batman, and it makes guns pop out of the sides. And if you go back and look, I've talked about this on Everyone Loves a Drink too. Yeah. But if you go and look at the commercial for this, it's awesome because 3 or 4 times in the same commercial, he's like, "Who's that in the car? It's Batman. Who's that in the car? It's Batman." And they say it the same way. It's so good. You gotta look it up.
Once again, Bruce Wayne's rocking his turtleneck. This time it's purple.
Purple turtleneck, yeah.
Right.
And
I used to like to do the quick change and leave the purple one on. Like, oh, whoops, Bruce was in a hurry, left his purple turtleneck on.
Or you just put the put the old Bruce Wayne in with the black suit.
Change from black to purple.
So they had the Bat missile. That was cool. You had the 2 launching sides.
One of my friends at the time in elementary school had that. And I thought that was so awesome. You could just
was
press
cool. I just remember the commercial, and I was like, "That's a cool thing right there." And then I even thought the Bat ski boat was cool.
I had the Bat ski boat. I love that thing.
Yeah. So, they had. I'm looking here at that site you sent me to, and I'm like, oh wow, I should have been looking at this because they had a weird camouflage version of the Batmobile.
Yeah, I've got that.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah,
that's actually absolutely terrible.
There's like a Batman that goes with it too.
Oh man, yeah. It was like, hey, you know what? We can start redecoing the cars too. People buy the figures, so all right.
Yeah.
So moving on to, do you want to jump into?
Well, we got one more important figure.
Yeah, Rob will stop us.
oh my gosh, of course you guys would stop for this.
Yeah. There was a little figure, and it's his very first figure ever made. We got a Tim Drake Robin, and I freaked out seeing this in the store, and this was a month, maybe a couple weeks before the movie. And, I'd seen the trailers, like I'm gearing up for it. And I'm like, they're putting Tim Drake in the movie. Like, I can't believe it. We're skipping over Dick Grayson. We're going right to Tim Drake. And I'm waiting like, when the heck are we going to get to Tim Drake? Nothing. Credits roll. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I've been lied to. But
it's a great figure, though. I like it.
When you were asked like what one of my favorite figures was, this goes into that category. I just never thought I was ever going to be in a place where somebody was going to make a Tim Drake figure and then trying to figure out, well, why are they making a Robin figure in Batman Returns when he clearly is not in the movie? Yeah. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. He's still on my shelf right next to my blue and gray Iron Witch Batman. So those are my the only ones I'm able to like sneak out in the the public parts of the house. So
no, and I love that they took the time to make the 2-tone cape where the back is black and the interior is the yellow. That's very comic accurate and something that I'm glad that they took the time to do. And it's cloth. And I think this is starting to be the era where we start to switch from the cloth capes to just the hard plastic capes. And I always hated that, even as a kid.
Yeah, I think the next wave of the Batman Forever ones went into... I think they started going into the molded capes on some of the stuff.
Yeah. And to transition into Batman Forever, the last 2 points on this Batman Returns line is that actually... I remember it actually having it had a wave 2 as well. Or a series 2, I believe they called it. And
oh, really?
There were only like 3 figures in it, and I think they were hurting for like a new movie or something because it was like the packaging actually says like new series 2, like series 2 Batman Returns, like, and they came out at the same time as some of the figures from like the animated series came out, and I believe they actually came out as late as 1994. So 2 years after Batman Returns came out, there were still new series Batman Returns figures, which I always have found super fascinating.
That would have been. That's why I think the name the Dark Knight Collection would have been better. They could have been Dark Knight Collection Batman, Dark Knight Collection Batman Returns.
Exactly.
But,
and the last,
I'm not a marketing guy. I wrote a letter to Kenner / Hasbro, whatever it was. Was it Hasbro? Did it change to Hasbro?
It was Kenner.
No, still Kenner.
It was Kenner. And I developed a whole bunch of toy lines for them based on DC properties. And I remember doing a Green Lantern line, and they were like, we have people that work really hard to figure out what people want. And I was like, well, these are the things I want. And it is not. I had a Flash TV show line with Pike, the guy from the pilot who no one knows about.
Did you actually make a McGee action figure?
I don't think so. I think I had Julio in like a van, and I was like, "You guys can use the same van from."
You're saving them money.
Oh yeah, I knew the game. Research. I knew the game. But okay, so going back to the Robin figure, he looks like he was a Marlon Wayans mold. If you look at the character, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, I'm so glad that didn't happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Why not? Well, he was supposed to not even wear a Robin suit. From what was said, he was going to be wearing overalls with the R.
He's going to have a leather jacket that had an R on it.
I would have slapped somebody silly. I remember reading that in like Starlog or something like that, that Wayne's is going to be in it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously, that cannot happen. So, yeah.
Almost did, though.
Yeah,
almost, yeah.
It would have been interesting, though.
Yeah.
But, and one last toy thing in Batman Returns is they also had the Batcave Command Center, which was this pretty awesome, like, fold-out Batcave that you could start in Wayne Manor, and it pulled out to create the Batcave itself. Yeah. And it was actually meant to be part of the Batman 89 line in the Dark Knight collection.
Oh, really?
And yes, there are actually images you can see of like toy catalogs where they're advertising it as part of an upcoming piece in the Dark Knight collection. And I guess it was too late in the production of that where they held off from it and made it into the Batman Returns line. But then, and it's cool. And then the back of that figure is like the, when it came out for Batman Returns, they've turned it into like a, Arctic World sewer. But when you look at it, it obviously looks like Axis Chemicals.
Axis Chemicals.
And that's why it looks like that, is because it was originally made for Batman 89. But then you will see as we go on, this Batcave Command Center was redone for pretty much every Batman line for like the next 10 years. Yeah. It was like a prerequisite. Every set had to have this Batcave Command Center, and they just changed the back. It's like, okay, it's instead of the Arctic World Sewer, it's
freeze. It's a freeze layer.
It's freeze layer.
A bank.
Exactly.
I have the Batman Forever version of that, and it is Edward Nigma's island. So all of that is green scaped. So like when he's doing his press conference on the island or whatever, that Axis Chemicals cylinder is green with question marks all over it.
That is so funny.
And that Batcave would go all the way through to Batman Beyond. Toilet.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
I think it actually went to a few. I think they even made one for like post Batman the Animated Series when they were just doing World of Batman. I think they did an issue of it in there as well.
Because you're right that it came with Alfred at that time.
Yeah. So they really use their molds. They're just like, the worst thing tying into Batman the Animated Series is reusing the Robin mold for Dick Grayson. And I know you got the giant version, right?
Yes, the giant version's glorious.
That always bugged me, man. That always bugged me. I actually have that figure, and I tried to customize it when I was, a little guy, and I could not. It just looks like a botched mess. I was trying to smooth out the muscle definition. He just stood out like a sore thumb. I'd always had his arms hidden behind his cape, like on the shelf, because his arms looked all muscly and veiny, and I was like, that's not how he looks.
Because that was the funny thing. Not to jump clear to the animated series, but the animated series went with a total overhaul for every single figure. And I
loved it so much.
The Danny DeVito-ish Penguin in that first style. Yeah. Except Robin. They were like, we're just going to use the 89 or the Batman Returns.
Yeah. Kids are dumb.
Yeah. What do they know?
Yeah. So I'm gonna do something people are gonna be, maybe this is gonna be upsetting, but I'm gonna skip the animated series. I think that could be its own show. If this episode seems popular, I feel like, hey guys, let Bill know. Say, hey, we want to hear about some more toys, and we'll bring Rob back, and we'll do that again. So let's jump into Batman Forever. Because I think we're going kind of long, but we'll make it happen. We'll go to Batman Forever. And what were your guys' thoughts on Batman Forever? That's when we first started seeing, like Ryan said, the molded capes, like Robin, and it looked like it looked like Robin had early production design costume, because his R did not look like the R from the movie.
No.
It looked like some of the production design stuff.
The R that you see on him is I believe reminiscent of a lot of the Robin imagery you would see in a lot of the promotional materials, like coloring books and graphic backpacks and stuff like that. I think it lines up with that kind of promotional stuff.
Well, because I think all that stuff has to be done months ahead of time. And when they finalized the movie, the shoot, they switched it to a more comic accurate R. So I think, hey, this is what was production design. We got to get toys and coloring books and stuff done. And then the movie's like, okay, here's what you got. And then, because you'll notice the same thing when you go into the Batman and Robin line. The Batman suit was originally going to have 2 prongs on its arm, and so the action figures all have the 2 prongs, which is a really weird decision. And so you have different action figures than what's actually made in the movie.
I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think it was kind of like a copyright thing that the Tim Drake character was still fairly new, and I don't know if it just that R being a trademarked thing, the movies, even though it's DC Warner Brothers, I don't think they knew if they could get the rights to do that R. So they came up with their own thing, and then as the suit was getting made, they were like, "Oh yes, you can use that."
But the toys
Correct.
were already made.
Yeah, the toys were already made. Coloring books. I have a pillow. I'll have to put it on my Instagram. I have a pillow that's still on my bed of Batman and Robin with Batman Forever. You can see that stylized R with the little, looks like, Deadshot's crosshairs, just missing the, east-west lines going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually took the time to do a street biker Dick Grayson.
I have
variant.
that guy.
I have
so interesting.
Every single Robin from this line. Surprise. I have.
Yeah, I had the street racing one, and then I had there was one that came. He had a weird there was one that came in the Gotham Guardians 2-pack, and then there was one that came with like a. He actually had a cloth cape. He had a black cloth cape, and he was kind of the standard one. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And then
exactly, yep.
And then I had one that had a bandolier going across his chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they really were like, okay, we're gonna pour on the variants.
Yeah, the deluxe martial arts Robin that was kind of like a throwback to the superpowers, where you would twist his waist and he would kick with his right leg. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is interesting. There's even there's one called Batarang Batman, and it's kind of a riff off of the crazy sonar batarang that Batman uses at the end of Batman Forever.
Yeah.
But they turned it into like a giant gun that shoots out a giant version of this radar batarang, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. The Gotham Guardian Batman, from what I remember, he actually looked pretty much like the now he was in a 2-pack. He looked just like the movie version of the sonar suit. I think that was like the most accurate of the. They didn't really have a straightforward Panther suit Batman in that line.
No,
this was the closest you got.
This is the closest you're going to get. And then there was a Walmart variant where they repackaged that Batman, and then you got a proper Dick Grayson Robin with a cloth cape on it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's nice. And there's also a pack like that of Riddler and Two-Face, and that has a better looking Riddler and Two-Face than the standalone figures as well.
Yeah, I had one that they made the Riddler a few times, because I had one that was like in his bedazzled, sparkly looking version, and then one that was just green.
And doesn't that one come with the chair too that you can plug on his back, and it has actual lines from the movie?
Yeah, the deluxe talking Riddler has three real movie phrases, and it you can push the chairs button, and it says different things.
I wish I would have had that prepared. I would have played it. I have it in a box.
Oh, make it the show intro
upstairs.
Yeah, I know. I'll try and find it and go, who is Batman? The other ones were, again, I think they're like production designs or something. It was this weird mind control Riddler. He had like the helmet, and he had he had wraps around his legs, and
it's just weird contraptions. And you're supposed to be able to like make the mind contraption like go over top of people's heads, so you could like suck out their brain power and stuff.
yeah,
just like in the movie.
Yeah. The coolest thing now, the Two-Face figure. The coolest part of that was the coin. I thought the coin was really cool because
I saved that coin. I do too.
Yeah, you had a life-size Harvey Dent coin, so that was really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the figure was whatever. It was. I mean, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It didn't not look like Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, Kenner got their mileage on that action figure, because I know they made him a Lex Luthor one time too. In the old Justice League line, they made him gave him a Lex head, and it was because you can tell by his boot, his left foot had an extra heel on it. And you're like, oh, that's Two-Face.
Weird.
So yeah, there was a figure that he was in an all black outfit, and he actually had like a light up chest, because I remember going to KB with my girlfriend at the time, and we thought it was funny to buy all these. We were trying to buy as many as we could, and we ended up getting. I think his chest lit up. and if I'm not mistaken, he was in all black and he had a light up chest, but it was like the sonar suit and not the.
I think I have that figure. I can't remember what it was called though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't remember. It was like Power. It was like Beacon Power. I think it's Power Beacon.
Beacon Batman. Yep, you're absolutely
Power
right.
Beacon Batman. Like I wish I worked for them and I just got to make up the names. Like, all right, who's this Batman? And it's just like, we'll say a color and a way of like shooting light.
Anchovy cheddar Batman.
Yeah, it was just like find something like stratosphere neon Batman. What's that even mean? I don't know.
Yeah, the Batman Returns would have been so great. You could have had like penguins like scented or unscented penguin. Just like grab like lines from the movie.
Batman's been in the sewer scratching sniff.
That's the thing, man. For a line that wanted to do variants, they could have done like circus freak, sewer outfit, penguin, goo spew penguin, mayor penguin, party penguin, boat, duck boat penguin. They could have got like 4 penguins out of that.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so let's move on to some of the vehicles because this was the first new Batmobile. It was the light up Batmobile from the movie that drives up walls and stuff. And they did a new Batwing that I remember that came apart. There was like it split so you can make like a bat kind of boat out of it or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was the triple. That's I remember that the most. The triple action vehicle set. You can make the Batwing, the Batmobile, and the Batboat out of the same pieces. It was like one figure set that turned into all 3.
That's cool. So here's something I had, and it was weird because at this time, this movie came out. I was like, I think it was a few years after because I think I was almost going to be 18.
I was in second grade.
You were in second grade.
I had graduated high school. I think I was 18 as well.
Okay, so I think I was almost 18 because I was still in high school because I was dating a certain girl, and she bought me the Batcave Command Center. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with this? At this point, I was like trying to minimize. Same girl who wanted to buy all the stuff from KB. And she got me the Batcave Command Center. And that thing was enormous. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just kept it in my closet and ended up selling it. I wish I had it now for my boys.
I still had the thing with the 3 tiers.
Oh, yeah. It had 3 tiers. And it had a weird claw thing in the middle.
I would kill to have that.
Oh,
yeah, man. I still own mine, and like you could take.
Oh, you have one? Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, I have one. That was my Batcave, man.
Oh, yeah. That is very, very hard to come by, and is extremely pricey now.
Even
really?
Wow. Oh yeah, look it up on eBay.
Yeah, because she must have got it on the discount because it was, almost 2 years after Batman Forever came out, I think.
No, I love that because like it had most of the things you would want in a Batcave. Like the middle section had this crazy like claw thing. You could like have it eat a villain. The base at the bottom had a turntable for the Batmobile.
Yeah,
and
had a zip line.
At a zip line, and the back or the top that has the Bat computer, I believe also had attachments on the back to where it could hold the Batwing. And Rob, you're jealous,
Sorry.
I guess.
And I didn't know that.
yeah, and it was awesome because you could replicate the scene from Batman Forever where he's like by sea or by air, and you just look at the Batwing, and you can just
Dick Grayson come in. How about both?
Yeah, exactly. And you could just like it, and the Batwing very nicely, I might add, hangs onto that top tier, and you can just like. And it makes a really cool display, really. It looks like a cool Batman Forever thing where you just see the Batwing like there at the very top and the Batmobile and you've got everything. It's kind of an awesome Batcave set. And all the pieces come apart and most of them like you can store them inside of the bigger part of that top tier. So yeah, it was an awesome Batcave.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Because we're gonna run out of time. Let's get to Batman and Robin. Man.
Yay.
This was a crap line right here, man.
What?
This was sorry, I'm going to say it was a crap line. And you can tell Wave 1, again, was like, it just proves they didn't have their production design yet. Because Mr. Freeze looked nothing like Arnold. And then in line 2,
that's absolutely
Wave 2 came out with the more like film accurate figure.
Yeah.
And Batgirl still had the ears from like early production designs. You can tell.
Actually, but what's in retrospect, it's kind of cool. Because it makes the figures cooler than what we actually got in the film. Because,
right.
Because you look at Mr. Freeze in that original figure. I believe it's Ice Blast Mr. Freeze.
Yeah,
and he's got this cool.
Probably.
I like that figure. He's got like this cool like see-through armor.
Yeah, he's got the cool goggles and
he's got the more animated series like goggles. Bane looks like Bane.
Oh
And
yeah. Well, exactly.
That
He's
was
got
my
regular-
go-to Bane for a long time. Yeah,
That's it's a pretty sweet Bane figure, honestly. And he doesn't have the green skin. He looks like a comic version of Bane that can whip somebody's butt.
No, he was straight up Bane from the comics.
Yeah.
That was like a situation like the same as the Tim Drake Robin. That was a straight up comic adaptation.
Yeah.
Poison
Ivy's weird, but
that Bane did not say
Poison Ivy
bomb
was
a
weird.
monkey.
I think they did like two versions of Poison Ivy from what I remember.
There's a
one had like
weird.
translucent translucent mold on it. I don't remember anymore. It came with a Bane that had a weird deco on it. Like he had like slime on him or something. It was
it's a Bane.
Decisions.
No, it's a Bane where he's got Poison Ivy like roots around him that create like a scythe on his hand.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's supposed to be. Like she's like used her powers to give him like some accessories. I always thought
bomb dropping Bane or something.
No, well, I always thought it was. I always thought it was a big missed opportunity because as a kid, you watch Batman and Robin. There's the line where Poison Ivy's like, "Every Poison Ivy action figure comes complete with him." I'm like, why didn't they do that? They should have had like the Poison Ivy action figure that comes complete with Bane.
Right.
I don't think that they actually did that.
No,
should have done that.
No, and then again, no Batmans that were film accurate at all. I think the closest was one that was kind of gray. And then Iceboard Robin, I remember him because he was blue and red and not black and red.
And if I remember right, I got the Redbird cycle, but if I remember right, the Redbird cycle came with a Nightwing that looks very much like Nightwing.
Oh, really?
He's blue, and he's got the yellow highlights throughout his suit. He came with a cape, and I always took that off and thought, "Oh, that's going to be my Nightwing."
Oh
figure.
he looks.
Oh,
very
I repainted mine, man. Like seriously, like maybe like 2 years after that, I was like, I'm making Dick Grayson, and I did. Pretty simple repaint.
See, and I just held on to mine and waited for the new 52.
Oh wow!
Because he went from blue to red.
Yeah.
Shut up, Rob.
It all comes around.
Yeah, but
there's also a Main Manor Batcave Command Center variant. You didn't know.
What?
I think these were some of the worst Batman variants, though.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
When I say this was the worst line, it's really of the Batman variants. Actually, you're right, Ryan. You know what? I will give it credit for its cool Bane figure. That's a really great Bane figure. If you want to look it up, I remember hunting that Batgirl figure down because I was like, that's the only Batgirl
she was hard
figure
to
they
find,
had, right?
actually.
Yeah,
she wasn't a terrible looking like figure, but everything else, man, there was Heat Scan Batman. He had like just terrible. This is the first ones where the head's pushed down for the transforming Batmans, right?
That was in Batman Forever also.
They had that. Okay, I don't remember.
Oh, that's right. Bruce Wayne did. That's right for that one too.
Yeah. So,
What's weird though is
really amazing.
they transforming bat vehicle set that I talked about for Batman Forever. They actually remade that for Batman and Robin, but it's the same.
Really?
It's the same vehicles from Batman Forever with the Batman and Robin logo on it. So it's super weird.
Why not? Right? Why not? So I think the only new vehicle was they did the Ice Bat Hammer, which I never got, and then they had the single seater Batmobile, which that's how all the Batmobiles came out. So they might as well do it for the movie. It'll be as screen accurate as possible to have Batman's giant car.
Yeah,
Well,
it's movie accurate. They also did the Jet Blade. There's a Jet Blade. There's a third vehicle, the Jet Blade.
Oh yeah, wasn't that Batgirl's Jet Blade? Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
But they also made a Bat Cycle for Batgirl too.
Yeah, I have that Batgirl. I'm just getting ready to say that I passed on the Jet Blade or whatever when I saw the Batgirl Bat Cycle.
Yeah.
So I still have that and the Redbird.
Didn't she have movable legs? The Bat Cycle one.
Yeah, I think they were kind of in that weird straddle position, like they're wider than normal, and I think she does have hinges on her knees so she can ride it a little bit easier.
Gotcha.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, man.
And she's got this weird black visor across her eyes, so it looks like she's got a helmet on.
Yeah, man. What a weird line. That's just such a weird line.
I will agree with you that this line, I think, wasn't as well thought out of like, there's like Rotor Batman, which I always thought was like Rotor Rooter. Like he's just got this, it looks like Deathstroke.
Yeah.
He's got all this orange and blue. So this was about the time I stopped buying, like Frostbite Batman and, those type of things.
So, yeah, man. So it was really like a weird time. And to be honest, I feel like as collectors, it was like, just give us an accurate Batman and we'll be fine. And do all the crazy weird color ones for like moms and stuff. But it's like, why not make that one that just makes sense? Because even in the earlier collections, like the Dark Knight collection, they would do, there was Shadowing Batman where he just kind of popped it. He was in black suit, but he had a cool feature where he just popped his cape out, I know if you're going to keep doing different things, you might think you're buying the same figure, unless there's a really, really like specific action feature. But it's kind of weird that they didn't do that. And then they really started getting into the vacuum metal on this one. There was a whole bunch of different like green and neon blues, and it makes me so angry. So let's be done and jump right into Batman Begins. That's a weird line.
Yeah, it is.
And it's very really indicative of them not really knowing how to market it, I think.
Yeah.
At the time. It's this weird line they drew, I think.
Yeah. It was like a weird scale. It didn't go with any of the other previously lines. Even Batman, I think Batman Forever, it moved out of the superpowers like feel and into something a little different. Mm-hmm. And then this one it went back to, a little more articulation. You had a waist and knee articulation was added back. I don't think there was elbow articulation on these.
Some of them did, like the Scarecrow, just because when you twisted a waist, his arms could kind of flop around and move. So a few figures did have elbow joints, but they were few and far between.
The packaging was hideous on those things. I still feel like the Dark Knight collection was the best like packaging. This Batman Begins stuff, it was like gold and just red, and it just didn't look.
No,
it didn't look good.
It's kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but any standout figures? I know there was Ninja Bruce Wayne. And I think I bought Ninja Bruce Wayne and
there's a Ra's al Ghul
Batman, and that was it. The what?
The Ra's al Ghul is pretty cool. I remember.
Yeah, he was the same though as he was basically Ninja Batman, but just with a different head, right?
Yeah. There was two Ra's al Ghuls. There's a red robe and orange robe. The red robe is more of the actually, they did the whole bait and switch where they had Ra's al Ghul and they did a Ducard at the same time.
Exactly.
And then they actually, like, once the line was just about ready to end, they did a proper Ra's al Ghul as Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you say Ra's al Ghul, you're talking about the Ken Watanabe version, right?
Yes.
With the cape and everything?
Exactly,
yeah. So, yeah, I had that one. That was cool. I thought by that time the whole thing was spoiled, I believe, because they actually...
It was. Yeah,
some Toy Fair images came out, and it ruined the movie. For me, I remember that's how I found out.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wasn't even aware, as much as I've been collecting action figures, I wasn't even looking for figures for this movie, thinking, well, they're probably not going to do any. So it wasn't even on my radar to look anywhere. And Wizard Magazine was dead or just about dead at this point. So it wasn't like I was picking it up, and the internet was still in its infancy, if I remember right. So it wasn't like I'm on like you are today and getting spoiled every 10 minutes with new figures coming out. So it wasn't until I saw the movie and went to Walmart, I was like, oh crap, there's figures. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it was really hard to not believe it, because I do remember Batman on Film, reported that Liam Neeson was Ra's al Ghul, and then it was like, oh no, correction, he's Ducard. Ken Watanabe's Ra's al Ghul, and then it was like, oh okay. So then when those figures came out, I just remember like, ooh, that's weird. Like, like either it's a misprint or something's going on, and so, thanks, Bill. No, that wasn't Bill. That was actual like reporting that he was reporting information that came out. So anywho, so anything else from the Batman Begins line? Because that's just kind of the
Tumbler. It's pretty fun. Did they call it
okay, there we go. Yeah, thanks,
was it
Ryan.
the Tumbler?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Was it called the Tumbler in the packaging?
Yep. Tumbler Batmobile.
Oh, okay. They fit Batmobile in there.
They had
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember it.
just.
I've still got. I never opened it. This was when I was like not opening stuff, so
Oh.
I got it still in the box somewhere.
And this is purple intent as opposed to being black, which I
Really?
have this.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they put really weird like kind of like extra toys in there, like the Batcopter, and I remember it was just a head. There was like a weird Batman head. There was no like it wasn't a big one you could put a figure in. There was like these weird bat cycles with Batman stuck on it, and this is the stuff they're just always going to put out. And now I'm looking at the website right now. They have a Gotham City set. Is that the same Wayne Manor?
No, I don't
It's
think
a
it
little
is.
different with the Scarecrow and another Scarecrow. Another Scarecrow with glowing eyes. Like that's just the go-to like shtick for any Scarecrow figure.
Hey, just
His
wait
eyes
till we get to
glow.
the animated series. That one's the best one. I love that one.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
yeah.
the best one. But this one, again, this was just a weird Scarecrow. It had looked nothing like the movie version. It was just gawky, weird arm, spinning double face, like kind of looked like how he looked at the end of the movie, but it's a pretty trash figure.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's how he looked at the end of the movie, and then from Rachel's point of view, under the fear toxin, kind of.
Why didn't they make fear toxin Batman? That would have been cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Missed opportunity. Did they ever make one of those, Ryan? Do you know?
Yes.
Movie Masters, they did.
Movie
They
Masters.
did. Okay, that's
Yep.
because we're headed to Movie
yeah.
Masters really soon
Yes,
here.
we are.
Very cool.
So now we'll get into Dark Knight. Dark Knight comes out, and that's where things go a little bananas because that's where
It
all the different
splits.
scales were going on, right? Like
Yeah.
we had
That's-
Movie
that's when-
Masters.
Yeah. Now this is where the philosophies in how the figures get made splits. You have the two lines, one that's for kids and one that's for like collectors,
Yeah.
which are like the kids line is one thing, and that's kind of when I started kind of ignoring it, and then only started going for the more higher end Movie Masters type of figures.
Yeah, because that Joker had like this weird animated hybrid face, which made no sense.
Yeah.
Remember?
Had like the wind-blown hair, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it
another
looked
one of those
very
situations
cartoony.
where it's like, oh, are kids going to be scared of this?
I don't think so. I
It's
never
weird.
bought that.
Yeah.
Never bought that. I
No.
didn't understand that. So
Yeah, in this line, you do get the fear toxin Batman. He was a chase figure, so out of a case assortment of 6, he was one. He was one per case. So you get like 3 Batmen, 5 Jokers, and this fear Batman.
He was a nightmare to find, by the way.
Yeah,
Actually, a lot of these Movie Masters figures at the time were just like, that's what turned into a huge thing. Like, oh man, the variant, or this store has this certain figure, that figure.
yeah,
And-
those were
yeah,
hard
they
to
were
find.
doing a lot of, you'd go into like a Walmart or a Target and you'd see, plenty of Batman figures. And I was always like, my Walmarts were sitting on 15, 20, 30 standard Batman figures. And I would say, hey, do you have any more? They're like, well, we're not ordering anymore because we're not selling what we have. And I'm like, you're not going to get any of the, chase figures in because they haven't sold X number of figures to warrant another shipment. And I'm like, I've already got my Batman. So does everybody else that's bought them.
Right.
But because there's 5 in a case,
They
stores
have
weren't
the stuff.
ordering any.
Yeah. Because they're like, we need variants. Which did they do? Now, did they do the Batman Begins suit at all? Because all I have is I don't remember. I just
did.
have a standard Batman Dark Knight like suit.
Yeah.
So
there's one series that had the Begin suit, the Fear Toxin variant, the Dark Knight suit, and the Scarecrow. That was in one complete series. Yeah.
And then Joker and Two-Face came out, right? Or
Yes.
was there a Harvey Dent figure?
Yes, and a Harvey
Yes.
Dent.
And was there an Alfred? Alfred came out in
Not
a
till
different
Dark
line, right?
Rises. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the Dark Knight Movie Masters Joker, he actually had kind of the more Heath Ledger face. Still kind of not a good figure, right? Because I just remember his neck was just kind of smooth and went right up into a weird head, and I guess for Mattel it was good, but it just didn't feel like there was 100% care going into it. Where I think the sculpt on the that the Batman figure was actually really good.
Yeah.
Getting all the details of the armored suit in there. The shoulder pads were kind of weird, but
the missile launcher Joker was actually the better version. Had a more accurate Heath Ledger. He's got a green vest with the purple pants, and then kind of like the paisley bluish shirt with him in the cell where he's doing the whole clapping thing.
Yeah.
They even went through the trouble to make the thug version from the beginning of the film.
Yeah, there's actually a couple thugs they made.
Yeah, they got a regular thug, and then they've got the Joker version of that, where they've got the clown mask.
Yeah.
But overall, the Movie Masters was the way to go with this line if you're going to get anything that looked, somewhat representing the film. And I think it was the more appropriate line because Dark Knight was not the movie for kids, And I think that's where they had a hard time. I was like, this isn't a kids movie, but we're still going to put Batman figures out. We just have to, because I know they had little 3-inch versions. Do you guys remember that? They had 3 different scales. They had a 5-inch scale. They had the Movie Masters, and then they had this 3-inch version, which I think came with figures like Deadshot and it had Deathstroke, I believe. Yeah,
Deathstroke was in there,
and Firefly. A lot of characters I thought from the Gotham Knights, little DVD that DC put out. I might be wrong. It may not have been Deadshot. I think it was Deathstroke. I know for sure Firefly. Yeah. So it was interesting because that was ooh, are those going to be little side characters or things like that? Again, you hear about these things and you're like, oh, are there's going to be surprises? And it's just ways to pad the line. I didn't mind it. They were just kind of generic looking bad guys. Okay, so let's just stay with the Movie Masters because I feel like that's kind of where they went with the Dark Knight Rises, right? I don't think they made. Yeah. Well, they did make those smaller figures. They went back to that weird small scale because they did actually put a black Batman out, and they did because I have one of the terrible Banes. I think I bought it at Vons.
They were awful.
It looks like putty.
These weird elongated arms. It was terrible. They made 5 packs. I remember they made a Catwoman, and I think they even made a Ra's al Ghul. He went back. They put him back in the line.
Yeah,
not 100% on that, but I do remember seeing weird in the packaging. Oh, it's terrible.
It was awful.
I don't know what it was.
All the figures had these weird attachment things where it put the accessories on them or something. This weird system thing. I was just totally ignoring the regular 3.5-inch figures at that point.
Yeah.
So we're coming back to Dark Knight Rises. The Batman figure is the exact same figure with different paint apps. There's a little more gray, and the flesh tone I think had a wash on it. And you could build a bat symbol, a bat signal.
I love this thing. It is by far my favorite collect and connect piece I've ever built.
It's awesome.
And it was a pain in the rear to complete.
Yes, it was. It was so hard.
Tell us why, because here's the thing. I never was able to obtain anything other than Batman in both of those lines. It was I gave up. I was like, I can't find the Joker. And when I did, I didn't care for him.
They had him in waves. And Batman obviously was in the first, and then you had Bane and Catwoman. Catwoman came with 2 variants. She had goggles on or goggles off.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, really? They weren't the same figure.
Yeah, the same figure, but the head. The head was the only thing that was changed. So,
did it come with a different bat signal piece? Or
no,
was it...
actually, the one with the goggles on was a chase figure, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. So the one with goggles off, is that right? It had the piece, and then you had the chase. So if you got the one with the bat signal, you didn't need the other one, and I didn't grab the other one. Commissioner Gordon had 2 variants. The Walmart variant had the broken bat signal face with an axe, so you could reenact.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was an alternate piece.
Right.
Yeah.
So
if you didn't have them, you had a complete bat signal. If you got Gordon, you got the broken bat signal. That's right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So you could swap, in and out if you wanted to reenact that scene. And then the 2 hardest figures to find were John Blake, aka Robin Boo, and and Ra's al Ghul.
We lost Rob.
Yeah, no. I'm gone. I looked, and my wife is constantly on me, when these figures come out, you don't have to, rush out and get them right now. And I'm like, if I don't get it now, I'm not going to get it at all. And I remember we were in a hotel room and I'm looking, and I'm the cheapest that I can find. Ra's al Ghul is like $40.
Oh man!
And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. So I waited on Ra's al Ghul, but I thought there's no way I'm going to find John Blake. Again, price tag was $40. So spend the $40, get John Blake. I do find Ra's al Ghul in the store. 6 months after The Dark Knight Rises is over, we go to a Walmart we always go to. I am not making this up. I have a picture somewhere I'll have to find. 44 John Blakes are on this end cap. Nothing but John Blakes. And
please post this. Make that the show art.
Yeah. And my wife was coming around the corner, and she's like, "What are you looking at?" I said, "Nothing. Nothing." She's like, "What's back there?" I said, "You do not want to see this." We walk around the corner, and there is just this sea of John Blakes. And she's like, "You paid $40." And she's pointing at the price tag. These were $20 figures. It now reads $8.50.
Oh, man.
And my heart just sank. She's like, "And you had to have this." So
meanwhile, you just got to go, how many times have you bought a coffee that was overpriced in the past?
Right.
Yeah.
You got to balance it out. You can't go back, man. You can't go back.
Oh,
because it could have worked the other way. So
yeah.
Now I'm not so much like, I feel like I have to have it, but yeah, that was that kind of doing all this, like literally Chase. We would go from store to store to store I just walk into a Walmart. Nope, they don't have it. I'm like literally in and out,
wow.
checking all these just to complete it. Cause I was like down to the last 2 pieces.
Yeah.
But initially I'm like, no, I'm not going to collect this thing. I'm not going to collect it. And then once I had 5 of the 6, I'm like, I need one more. So what was your experience with it, Ryan?
So what were you saying were the hardest ones to find? Blake and
Ra's.
Yes, absolutely. That's correct. So I was able to get most of them except for those that were hard to find. My mom that Thanksgiving was able to find like the very last Jim Gordon that their Walmart had. So I got him. And I had almost given up being able to find Blake or Ra's al Ghul at retail. And then I was almost bought them online for awful prices. But then I ended up going to see the Dark Knight Rises in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Discovery Place, which was a giant dome IMAX that was showing it Dark Knight Rises on film.
Yeah.
And they had a little gift shop section there, and they must have had a new order or an order of Movie Masters figures, and like nobody, I guess, that goes there thought about it as a toy store or something. So they had every figure, just tons of them, just ready to go in that gift shop. And I'm like, holy crap, I hit the Movie Masters mother load. So I got like 2 Blakes and 2 Races, and I was like super excited, and I was able to actually complete the collection there. So that was kind of a happy ending to the Movie Masters saga there. But yeah, being able to build that vaccine was awesome.
Yeah. Does it light up? Did that thing light up?
Yeah. And it actually shines like some of those. If this would have come out in the 80s, it probably, like, you can kind of tell it's a bat signal. I can stand pretty far in the room with all the lights out, and I can keep backing up and make the nice, big bat signal against the wall.
Nice. Yeah, it's always cool when those things work. It just gives it a little bit more, value, especially if you're running all over town trying to like hunt these pieces down. It's good when it's worth it. It's not just a prop. It's kind of a cool piece. Because that's the first thing people are going to say when they see it. Oh, does that thing light up? Right?
Right.
And then it does. And then John Blake shows up and you're sad.
This was a hard time for Mattel, too. The DC Universe Classics line was just about at its end.
Yeah.
And I can't remember his name now, but he was putting up videos, the guy that was running it, saying that price of resin was up, and they undersold, once you got into the John Blake and Gordon and Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
They were starting to lose production, and Mattel had just about wiped their hands of all of it. Like, well, we're only going to make this initial run, and then that's going to be it. So it just, people bought up whatever they saw, put them on eBay, and they were just going for, outrageous prices.
Yeah. And
it just about killed Mattel as far as the superhero line was concerned.
All right, guys, man. Okay. We went way longer than we thought, and we tried to cover with as much detail and information as we could about some of these Batman lines, and we're not done. But hopefully, if you guys like this episode, we can come back. Does anybody have the stamina to go into the world of Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad? And we might be able, if depending on when it can come out, we might be able to squeeze in some of the Wonder Woman stuff. I know it's not necessarily Batman, but it fits in the movie masters line of continuity. But before we go, though, and Ryan, we did it a little bit at the top. We kind of talked about some of the people that showed stuff. I wanted to give a shout out, though, to, man, again, Frank, Laura, since your collection is bananas, I want to go to your house. And I want to check out, I feel like your bat room. I messed my joke up. Your bathroom is a bat room. I don't even know. I don't even know where you put this stuff at. It looks like there's some of it in your kitchen, and I hope that's true. That stuff is great. So, all right, Rob, thank you so much for being a part of our Batman on Film special Batman action figure spectacular. I just named it that right there. And
yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a blast. I've been a longtime listener of Batman on Film, and even when Batman on Film was website only, was the place I always went to. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and you're a part of our Batman podcast network.
Yes, do a little show with Ryan over at the BatmanUniverse.net. Robin, everyone loves the Drake. Stop on over. It's all 90s Tim Drake gloriousness. We're just getting ready to wrap up Nightfall here really, really shortly.
Yeah, it's been really great listening to it. I just want to give everybody, if you're like, oh man, maybe you're only a mild fan of Tim Drake, and if you are, shame on you. Tim Drake's the best Robin. But check out the show. You guys had a really great episode. I think it was two ago where you guys had Chuck Dixon on.
Yeah, episode 51.
Yeah, that was fantastic because it was cool to hear from. I mean, this guy, he's written some of the best Batman stuff in the last 20 years. Scott Snyder's and Tom King's and stuff. I just think Chuck Dixon is fantastic. And
at one really moment, he said he was writing Robin, Catwoman, Batgirl, and Detective all in one swoop for about a 3 to 4 month period, and then Robin for 101 issues.
Yeah, that's just a great run. Check that episode out, but check all the episodes out. It's good stuff, and you guys have a good show, and it's good to be a part of the Bat pedigree with you.
Well, thanks. So, that means a lot.
So check out the show. Robin, everybody loves a Drake, and Ryan, who has slid down the bat pole. We love Ryan. Ryan had to go. He has some stuff going on, and it's late back there. For Rob, thank you so much for being on the show again today.
Thanks for having me on.
You can find his podcast and other podcasts at BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. For Ryan, you can find him on Twitter at SMB_Ryan. He is also a part of the Robin Everybody Loves the Drake podcast. So go and check out that show right now. If you like this episode, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at BatmanOnFilm.com. You can also give us an amazing review at iTunes. Give us 5 stars. Tell us, hey man, I really like that show. Let us know. We would love to hear it. Don't forget, our Wonder Woman watch party is going to be happening in just over a month in Dallas, Texas. So if you'd like to be a part of that, let us know. You can find event information on our Facebook page or on our website. I will actually be there, so that's going to be really fun to hang out with Bill and Rick and then you guys. So come hang out. It's going to be a really good time. This has been the BOF Podcast. Authoritative, definitive, the original Batman on Film. Take us out, announcer Rachel.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jet via jet@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShoeRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shoe. For Jet, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.